Hey, I'm back. I tried to fix it and actually broke the light bulb. The light bulb is stuck in there, and I'm scared that I'm gonna get electrocuted, so I'm not going to do anything else with that light right now. So hopefully, you can hear me even if you can't see me that well. I turned the music off, so hopefully, again, you can hear me well enough to get the message. So let's get back to it, okay? Um, yeah, I was talking about we were never created to be alone and that we need support, right? That's just the way that we are made. I know that the last past 2 years, because of COVID, we have had to be alone. We have been separated from our partners and our loved ones, our family, our friends, our coworkers. And that is one of the reasons why we are dealing with a lot of mental health issues. Um, we have dealt with a lot and still are dealing with a lot of depression, anxiety, thoughts of suicide, and some have actually completed suicide, which is very, very sad because we did not have um, the resources in play for such a long time, or not in play but available to those that actually needed it during this time frame. I know that no one really knew that COVID would have lasted this long, but if anything, it opened our eyes to us being prepared as a people, and understanding that, yes, we have social media and we can connect with people all around the world, but connecting with people through video chat like we're doing now or a webinar is good, and it allows you to reach so many people in a small period of time. But when it comes to us person to person, it is not the most healthiest thing. So I'm thankful that there has been some changes, that there has been some restrictions that have been released or in the process of being released, depending on where it is that you are. COVID has affected the world and how we communicate with one another. We have to now get back to being better, being better with each other, with reaching out to each other, with um, sometimes you don't have to have something planned. It's just about calling someone and saying, "You good? You want to talk for a few minutes? What's going on?" Right? Because it also allows you to see where that person is, where they are mentally, where they are emotionally, depending on if you guys are getting together and going somewhere, you can see how they are physically. If they're walking slower, if they're complaining about pains, if they're um, limping, if you reach out to them multiple times and now, every time you turn around, they're like, oh, I have something to do. I can't go out. You know, we have to start looking at those things because a lot of times, not every time, okay, and I am not a therapist, I am not a psychologist, I am not saying this for you to go and try to diagnose someone by any means. What we need to do, and what I am saying is, we need to check on each other. We need to check on each other, see how we're doing, see how each other is doing, and see if there is some additional help that is needed. Because when you are away from people, there's things that are happening that no one is aware of. And even if you wanted to reach out to someone, sometimes you don't know how, or ego gets in the way, or whatever you learned as you were growing up, what happens in this house stays in this house. We've talked about that before. Those are triggers for people that will cause people to be silent when they need to open their mouth and share what is happening with them or to them. Okay, so we need to make a conscious effort to reach out to people, to check on them, and show that they're not alone. They're not by themselves. They are not forgotten. This also is for our elders or elderly. Okay. Mm, they've been dealing with a lot too in reference to separation. I recently studied for a certification in ageism. And ageism, basically, in a nutshell, is how aging is I mean, not created, but communicated, talked about um, in our communities, in our society, right? When people talk about aging, they put uh, a negative content. Is that the right word that you? And I don't know what I'm looking at because nobody is here, but connotation maybe. It's negative, and there's nothing negative about growing old, right? And you see how easy it is for me to say growing old. But people that are of a certain age, they don't want to be associated with old, because old kind of makes you think like you've lost it. You can't keep up. You don't know what's going on. Um, you can't function on your own, that you are not competent. So ageism is the study of ageism, and talking to people is about getting them to change the words that they use when they're talking about a aging society, right? Instead of saying old person, you're elder. There is 84% of elders over age 65, I believe it is 65 and older, that are still living at home by themselves. So they're still taking care of themselves. They're not in any type of facility where they have any other people that are around them or to assist them. Only when their family members come, or if their family members actually have someone to come out and support and assist them. Okay. Um, it wasn't my intent to go this way in reference to ageism, but I mentioned that because I think that we need to be checking on our elders as well. That's why I'm bringing that up. And I will definitely do something on ageism and give you additional concrete information and things that you can do also to change how we communicate and how we talk about um, the aging community. I'm a part of the aging community. I'm 53 years old. Am I a senior to some, right? So I will be considered a senior to someone that is 13, from 13 to what, 16, 17, or maybe even 18. Would they be calling me ma'am? I guess they would call me ma'am if that's the way that they were raised, which I don't see that too often now. the level of respect. So we're gonna definitely get into that, right? Because I feel that we have lost that as well. So we need to get back to respecting one another, respecting each other's space, respecting each other's decisions, respecting each other's uh, religion. And we're not doing that. So, again, another conversation. Checking on someone is allowing you to be a blessing, because it shows that you are not just thinking about yourself. You're not being selfish. You're thinking about somebody else. Just like it's so important for you to pray for someone else, and not every prayer be about, oh Lord, can you do this for me? God, please provide me with this, bless me with that. We are created to be a blessing. We are blessed to be a blessing, right? And if ever in life you want to see a bountiful blessing pour out for you, you need to do for others. Absolutely. There's no way around it. You'll see it. Not that you should do things just so you can get something in return. It needs to be from the heart, but try doing something for someone as small as just smiling at someone that you don't know, because you don't know what's happening in their day. You don't know what happened 15 minutes, an hour, a second before they were in your presence. You don't know what they've been dealing with all week, all month. And just a smile can change somebody's day. It changes the energy, right? So these are things that we need to try. And when you are feeling like you need to talk to someone, don't allow your ego to get in the way. And I know that that is hard, because I too, you know, am used to being in control and taking care of things the best way that I know how. But I had to stop that. I had to be open, because when you walk around like nothing is going on and you're good, you know what I'm saying? That's how people see you. They don't know. So they're not going to help you. Most people aren't going to walk up to you and say, hey, are your bills paid? You know, are you living in your car? No, people aren't going to come up to you and ask you that. And it's sorry to say, or sad to say, people will talk about it when they see you in that position. So that's something that we need to change too. And that can be changed, by reaching out to people that you love, that you care for. If you have information that can be a resource to someone else, that's another way to use that to help people, and tell them to share. If you have a telephone number to a resource for a woman shelter, or for a homeless location, food pantry, some type of resource. If you have a resource for someone who needs to see a therapist, and maybe it's free, or a telephone number where they could talk to someone immediately as they're going through, that is licensed, that is trained, that is good information to have and good information to share. I'll go back to the point that things are changing in reference to COVID, and restrictions are being removed, but everybody is not going to run out. Everybody is not going to run out in the street. People are still going to wear their mask. I'm still wearing my mask. Oh. It's the rain. The rain and the chill got me going up in here. I'm still not going to be amongst a group of people and not wear my mask, because there's still so many question marks, right? Still so many question marks. We kind of get that COVID is always going to be here, right? Uh, just like the flu, it's always here. It's always showing up. The next year it comes back, with a different strain. That's the same thing that's going to happen with COVID. And before it's all over, I believe, and I am not a licensed practitioner, physician, or a doctor, and nor do I play one on TV. Okay, that everybody eventually is going to test positive for COVID. And one of the reasons that I say that is, to me, similar to what was happening with what we used to call the kissing disease. Do y'all remember that? Help me out. What's the real name? Because now mono. Okay. The kissing disease. And I guess, and that's my bad, I need to research that and give you real information instead of telling you what I guess and what I think, but it's my opinion. Um, the kissing disease, it didn't really have anything to do with kissing. Maybe the first couple of people that actually were diagnosed with it were young people in college or dating or something like that. I'm trying to find my mouse over here because I was actually going to look it up for you real quick. Okay, let me see if I can find it. But it is transmitted the same way. Someone can have that virus and it could be on a cup or mug or something, somebody in your family, and you're drinking, you know, um, you're drinking behind them and you obtain it. You can go and kiss someone or be talking to them and spray it, right? Infectious mononucleosis. Yeah. Infectious mononucleosis, also known as, oh Lord, glandular. Glandular fever is an infection usually caused by the Epstein-Barr virus, EBV. Most people are infected by the virus as children when the disease produces sore throat, enlarged lymph nodes in the neck, and tiredness. Most people recover in 2 to 4 weeks. Yeah, I'm just reading what this is saying here. From what I can remember, yeah, these are the symptoms. Like, we didn't really get deep into it. People would say, oh, you got the kissing disease. But it wasn't really about that. It was spread. It spread it similar to, yep, yeah. Okay, there's no vaccine for it. Through promising vaccine research, though promising vaccine research results exist. Infection can be prevented by not sharing personal items or saliva with an infected person. Mono generally improves without any specific treatment. Okay, so I guess that's why they called it the kissing disease, and you shouldn't be drinking after someone. But if you think about it, someone can have mono, and since they're speaking about saliva, every time we're talking, there's little droplets, right? I was tested for mono when I worked for Hoffman LaRoche pharmaceutical company, and because I had a sore throat, I was tired, and I came back not having mono, but I had the antibody. So that means somewhere along the line I had it and I didn't even know it. So my symptoms weren't that bad, just like there's people now that have had COVID and don't know it. They thought it was just a headache, a runny nose. Their symptoms were not that bad. It mimicked just having a regular cold. They did not have any issues with respiratory. They didn't have any type of respiratory issues. So that's my thought on the whole thing with COVID and how we will have to continue with it. I'm not saying that COVID has anything to do with mono. I was just using that to give a better explanation and idea of what it was that I was talking about as an example. They do not have anything to do with one another, as far as I know. Got it? Got it. Good. So, in saying that, people are still going to be at home. You know, people are still going to be apprehensive on going out and mingling and going out and being around family members, right? It's going to happen gradually as long as we don't have another uptake or another breakout um, with the virus or another strain that should happen to come along and make people sick, right? So people are going to take their time, they're going to stay in. Another thing is, people get into certain habits after a while and they get hard to break. And you're talking about 2 years of social distancing. Maybe your company started allowing you to work from home back in February or March when it actually started, right? So that's a long time to be working from home. It's great, right? I loved it too. Like, yeah, you don't have to get dressed. You know, I had to get dressed because I was, client facing, but you don't have to go outside. You didn't have to spend money on gas, blah, 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 blah. And with these gas prices right now, with everything that is happening with Ukraine and Russia, please keep the Ukraine people in your prayer as well. The families that are still there, the families that are throughout the world. All right. We want to keep them in prayer. But these gas prices are ridiculous. So more people are going to be staying home or they're going to be walking. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm down with the walking. If they're going to be walking, that's dear to my heart because that means that you're getting some movement in. You're getting some exercise. Either way, I'm for that. I'll take that. But some people are not going to do that either. They're just going to continue to stay in the same way that they have throughout the pandemic. We still need to check on those people. Um, Depression, anxiety, mental health disorders and diseases, they just don't go away with a blink of an eye. Therapy is needed. In some cases, medication is needed. So we need to be open and a support system that is available to help people in their time of need and not just leave them out there on their own floundering, you know, hoping that someone will come and check on them because they don't know what to say. Sometimes things are happening with you psychologically that or as well as physically because depression causes pain throughout the body, right? Um, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what to say. You don't even know what to say to the doctor because maybe today you feel one way, but for the next 2 days you feel okay, but then 3 days, the next 3 days you don't. And it's kind of it's intermittent. Right. And then it'll come back and then it'll be there for a long time. There's multiple types of depression and anxiety. And I know this because through this period, I had a bout myself because I was always in the house. I love the sun. The sun to me is energy. I like being outside, right? I love house music. I didn't go to any of the house music festivals, even though there weren't that many, but I do know that there were a few. I didn't. I stayed in, and it's just a long time. And I'm single, right? So, me not having anybody, a companion or a partner to be with, to talk to argue with, to dance with, to kiss on, to love, to say, get out my face, to cook for, whatever made a difference. And I started feeling that because I started feeling disconnected a little bit. And that disconnection was causing me body aches, right? I was tired. Um, Even though it was brought on because I was distant, I wanted to be distant. I didn't feel like being bothered with anybody, even when they did call me or out of the blue say, hey, won't you come and do that? It was like, nah, because I didn't have the energy. But it was in little bouts. So that scenario that I gave you actually was me. I was good today and tomorrow, and then the days after that, it was just like, wait, now what in the world is going on here? What do I do next? Right? So I did. I reached out to the doctor about that to see what was going on. I also had an anxiety attack. I was driving to Virginia, and the direction that my GPS was taking me, and I found out later why it took me that way because I've been back and forth to Virginia and DC, Maryland multiple times, and I never went that way. It took me across the Bay Bridge, and I literally thought I was going to die. And it was the worst feeling in the world because there was no way for me not to go across this bridge. Now, if any of you out there drive that way, maybe it's nothing for you, but something happened that day to trigger an anxiety attack to the point that my heart felt like it was racing out of my chest. I was sweaty and clammy. I was holding on to the steering wheel and like all my muscles was like clenched, but I couldn't I couldn't breathe. I just at any moment I just felt like I was gonna pass out. But I was on this bridge and I didn't want to die. So I started praying and just looking ahead, but I couldn't understand why I was feeling that way. And I looked over to the right, and there was a bird that was flying at the same height of my car. This bridge is ridiculous. I never want to see that bridge again. I never want to go over that bridge again. I don't want to go over the Chesapeake. I don't want to go over the Bay Bridge. Those are things that I'm not interested in doing. And I'm a driver. I love to drive. So that scared the mess out of me because I'm just like, what is going to happen now? Am I going to be afraid to get in my car and go? Because I drive by myself. I don't care. Wherever I got to go, I go. I'll get in my car and take a Sunday drive. Whatever. I'm good with that. But this, whoo! And when I thought that it was almost over, I still had such a way to go. And I finally made it, and I was just shaking. I was shaking, I was shaking, I was shaking, but then I was too scared to actually pull over because I was like, okay, Sharon, if you pull over, will you ever get back on the road again? And I was nowhere near my destination. So I kept praying and applied my breathing techniques, and I made it to where I had to go. And when I made it there, I told my son, if I got to go across that bridge to get home, you gonna have to drive me and I'm gonna have to pay one of your friends. Do you hear me? To meet us on the other side. And I don't have a problem with that because I'm not driving back across that bridge. I just can't do it. But he also told me that that has happened to many people. Um, If you Google it, it's called the Bay Bridge. I don't even want to think about how high that bridge is. And I know that there have been people that have gone off that bridge. And I'm thankful to God that it wasn't me. But I'm just saying that to say that people deal with things in their lives that others don't know about because they keep them to themselves. Right? I'm sharing this with you because just because I help people, just because I'm a coach, I'm an entrepreneur, a podcast host, doesn't mean that I don't deal with the same things in life that other people deal with. So I need people to check on me too. Got it? We're in March. You may not have met your goals. This is still not a time to give up. This is the time now for you to jump back in. It's time to reevaluate and reorganize and reset. And you could do that. You just have to take the time. You have to make the time. You have to take the steps. Don't go back to I'm just going to jump in 100% like you did when you did your resolution because you see that didn't work, right? Create a process. Create a process, put it in front of you where you can see it. These are tips that are going to help. But if you need more information and you need someone to walk you through it, definitely reach out to me. We can set up some time. We can talk. We can see if you really need someone to coach you through this, or will some minor fine tuning to what it is that the process that you've already created. Can help you instead of you going through, complete coaching sessions. But I will tell you this again, having an accountability partner is the best thing in the world because you have someone that is not telling you what to do. They're just advising you and making sure that you stay on the path for the goal that you are trying to achieve. You see, because it's not my goal, it's yours. And sometimes in life, we have goals and they change as we're going along the journey. And that's okay because it's your goal, it's your dream. Okay. So that's why it's very important to have an accountability partner, especially someone that is skilled in that and understands the difference. You know, there's a time and a place for someone to be hard on you. And there's a time and a place and a space for someone to be quiet and just listen so you can hear what you're saying and find the answer on your own, right? A lot of people don't know that when they are trying to help you. So if you are at that point now and you feel that you can't go any further with the support system that you have, that will be another reason for you to reach out to a an accountability coach, a transition coach, a life coach. There are so many different coaches out there that are available to assist you. Beautiful Curves is here to assist you as well. You can reach out to Beautiful Curves 365.com. You can contact me there by completing the contact form, or you can just go ahead and schedule a chemistry session so we can get together and we can talk uh, and see if I'm the right fit. I'll give you some tools and some tips during that actual call. And also, if you need some additional resources, I will provide those as well because I do work with other coaches. This is not about the money, this is about being able to help someone, right? Because if I help you, you'll help someone. That's what I believe, right? We all are created to be an answer to someone, and that's my goal. That's why I do what I do because I love people and I want you, yes, you, to live your best life. especially now that you done hit that 50 mark. Come on now, celebrate. Do the things that you always wanted to do, right? Make a list. And you may not be able to get to each and every one because of, you still may have children that are home. You have a maid. Maybe you wanted to take a solo trip and it's just not the right time now. That's okay. Still put it on your list. Do the things that you can do. Don't put those off because life is too short, which we've already seen throughout COVID, right? Does that make sense? I hope that it does. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to listen to this message. I appreciate it. I thank you for it. I ask that you share this if it was helpful to you and if you know someone that it might be helpful for, you know, um, share it. Subscribe to my channel so whenever there are new episodes or new information that's being provided, you will get a notification. Wherever that bell is, because I can't keep up with that either. Maybe it's up here, up there, down there, Magarena it. I don't know, right? Just click on it, subscribe, hit that bell so you'll get that notification. If you have any questions, any topics that you would like for me to discuss or provide information on, please feel free. I want you to send it so I can get that information and we can talk about it. We can share. That's what this is. Beautiful Curves is also about building communities that will help each other. And yes, I work with women that are 50 and older, but here's the thing. The things that I teach is not just for women that are 50 and older. They are life skills. You understand that? So any age can apply these. It's just that the older woman, see there, that's what we're used to hearing, right? The mature woman, the mature woman, the matriarch, right, has been around so long that they have obtained so much wisdom and knowledge and experience, right? And that's the woman that I'm talking to. That's the woman that I coach. But when I talk to you, there are always things that can be used for anybody throughout their life. Again, thank you. I'm praying for you. Stay well. Remember to like and share, subscribe, hit the bells, right? But remember to live, love, and laugh more. Toodles.